Welcome to Lost Relation Chronicles. I was married to Kelly for just shy of 18 years. When we divorced 3 years ago, we have 2 sons who were 16 and 17 at the time, and now they're both in college. I couldn't be more proud of them for nearly 2 decades. We had what everyone thought was a good marriage, solid loving, built on years of shared memories. But then, seemingly overnight, it all started to unravel. It began during the pandemic. At first, I thought Kelly was just struggling, like everyone else, stressed, overwhelmed, maybe even depressed. But something about her changed in a way I couldn't quite put my finger on. She became distant, not just from me but from our boys, and even her own parents' conversations turned into strained exchanges, and her patience were thinner by the day. She was constantly on her phone claiming it was for work, though I started to doubt that our intimacy dwindled, and when I brought it up, she dismissed it, saying she was just tired or not in the mood. Then came the night that told me everything I needed to know, even if I didn't want to believe it. She left the house without much explanation, saying she needed to go for a drive. That wasn't unusual. Sometimes we all needed a break, but hours past the sun set and she still wasn't home. I called her, no answer. I called again, straight to voicemail. Then finally a text. I won't be home for a while. There's lasagna and salad in the fridge for you. And the boys, that was it. No explanation, no reassurance, just a casual message, like she was reminding me to take out the trash. My stomach twisted into knots. I stared at my phone, reading the message over and over. Where was she? Who was she with? I texted back immediately. What's going on? Where are you? No. Reply. The boys noticed I was tense, but I didn't want to worry them. They had enough on their plates with school and everything else, so I forced myself to sit through dinner with them, pretending nothing was wrong, while my mind raced through all the worst possibilities. She finally came home around 11, slipping through the front door like a teenager breaking curfew. I was already waiting in the living room, heart-pounding, hands clenched into fists at my sides. As soon as I saw her, I stood. Up, where the hell have you been? My voice came out sharper than I intended, but I didn't care. She barely met my gaze. I don't want to talk about it. I took a step toward her, trying to stay calm. No, we talking about this. You've been acting strange for months, and now you disappear for hours and won't even answer my calls. What's going on? She sighed, rubbing her temples like I was just another problem she didn't have the energy to deal with. I'm tired, Nathan. I just want to go to bed. No, I said, blocking her way. Not until you tell me where you were and who you were with. Silence. Her lips pressed into a thin line, and for the first time in our marriage I saw something in her expression that made my stomach drop. Guilt. She wasn't going to tell me. She had no explanation, no excuse, nothing, just silence. I glanced toward the hallway. The boys were upstairs. I didn't want them to hear us fighting. I took a deep breath, forcing down the anger that was boiling in my chest, so I backed off as soon as Kelly disappeared upstairs. I stayed in the living room, my mind racing. I could hear the water running in the bathroom, a long bath. Of course, she wasn't just avoiding me. She was washing away the conversation as if ignoring it would make it go away. Not a single word. No attempt to explain, nothing. A few minutes later I heard footsteps on the stairs. It was the boys. They hesitated at the bottom, exchanging nervous glances before coming into the living room. Dad, my oldest, Ryan, said cautiously, "What's going on with Mom?" I exhaled slowly, trying to steady my voice. "I don't know, buddy. She won't talk to me." They looked at each other again, clearly unsettled. "Sheck been acting weird for a while," my younger son Ethan added. "She barely talks to us anymore. It's like Sheck mad at everyone." I shook my head, frustration bubbling beneath the surface. I wish I had an answer. I don't know what's wrong with her. Ryan frowned. "You don't think she's—" He hesitated, looking down at his hand, knew what he wanted to ask. I wanted to shake my head to reassure him, but a sinking feeling in my gut kept me from saying anything. "Get some sleep, guys," I said instead. "We'll figure this out." They didn't look convinced, but they nodded and headed back. Upstairs, I lay down on the couch that night, staring at the ceiling for what felt like hours, my mind replaying every odd behavior, every cold glance, every moment I had brushed off as stress or exhaustion. I barely slept. I woke up around 6 groggy and stiff, but determined to get answers. I went upstairs hoping to talk to Kelly, but when I reached our bedroom, the bed was empty. She was already gone. Panic twisted in my stomach. I grabbed my phone and called her. It rang, no answer. I tried again, straight to voicemail. By the third call, it wasn't even ringing anymore. She had turned her phone off. I stood in the middle of our bedroom, my chest tightening. She was shutting me out. Then, a half hour later, my phone rang while I was in the shower. I jumped out, dripping wet, and grabbed it. Kelly. I answered immediately. Where the hell are you? I demanded. There was a long pause. Nathan. Her voice was different, flat, distant. What is going on? I snapped. You disappear for hours, won't answer my calls, leave before sunrise. She interrupted me with a shaky breath. Then came the words that shattered everything. There's someone else for a moment. My brain refused to process what she had just said, what she hesitated, then exhaled. I've been seeing someone for the past 3 months. I could feel my pulse pounding in my ears. The air seemed to be sucked out of the room. My grip on the phone tightened. 3 months, I repeated as if saying it out loud would make it make sense. I love him, she admitted quietly. The weight of those words crushed me. My legs nearly gave out. The timeline snapped into place in my head. Every change in her behavior suddenly making perfect, painful sense. I wanted to scream, to demand why, to force her to tell me how the woman I had trusted with my life, the mother of my children, had thrown everything away so easily. I swallowed the lump in my throat. So all of this, all the distance, the secrecy was because of him, she sighed. Nathan, who is he? I cut her off, my voice sharp, with rage. Silence, you owe me that much, I growled. Tell me who the hell he is. Another pause, then her tone shifted. Cool, controlled. Nathan. I don't like your tone. I laughed bitterly. You don't like my tone? My hand clenched into a fist. You cheat on me, drop this bomb on me over the phone, and you don't like my tone. She didn't answer Kelly. I barked, say something, click. She hung up. I sat on the edge of the couch, staring at my phone, willing it to ring, willing her to call back and say this was all some horrible mistake. But the screen remained dark. The silence in the house thick and suffocating. It was like she had vanished, leaving behind nothing but a wreckage of unanswered questions and shattered trust. I tried calling again, straight to voicemail. I clenched my jaw, gripping the phone so tightly I left a message. My voice horror with frustration and disbelief. Kelly, you need to call me back now. You don't get to just drop a bomb like that and disappear. If you don't come home tonight, I swear to God, I'm filing for divorce. I sent a text immediately after reiterating the same message, hoping that somehow, some way she would come to her senses. She never responded. She never came home by the next morning. The realization that she truly didn't care settled in like a rock in my gut. This wasn't just a moment of weakness. This wasn't a midlife crisis that would pass. This was her choice. I called her parents. Her mother answered, her voice laced with concern. Have you heard from Kelly? I asked, without preamble. No. She said, the worry in her tone deepening. Why, what's wrong? I hesitated. I didn't want to be the one to break their hearts the way mine had just been broken. She's gone. Morin. She hasn't been home. She won't return. My calls and my voice caught. She told me she's been seeing someone else. A sharp inhale, a pause, then a choked whisper. Oh my God. I heard her call for her husband in the background, her voice trembling. Seconds later, her father came on the line. Nathan, what's going on? I repeated everything. My tone flat, almost detached. He cursed under his breath, then said, Wick, try calling her. Maybe she'll answer for us. Let me know if you hear anything. I said before hanging up her sister. Lisa called shortly after. Nathan. What the hell is going on? I wish I knew Lisa, I said bitterly. I really do. But Kelly didn't answer their calls either. It was like she had cut off everyone who might remind her of the life she was abandoning. As expected, the boys were devastated. I found them sitting in the kitchen that morning, their faces pale, eyes red-rimmed, from lack of sleep. Did she call Ryan? Asked his voice tight with hope. I shook my head no. Ethan swallowed hard. Dad, is she ever coming back? I forced a reassuring smile. I didn't feel everything's going to be okay. We'll get through this no matter what happens. I didn't tell them the truth. They didn't need to hear that their mother had chosen another man over her family. Not yet by noon. I had had enough. I called. Her office, a young woman answered. Good morning. This is Harper at Greystone Marketing. How can I help you? This is Nathan Whitaker. I'm calling about my wife Kelly. Whitaker. There was a pause before she said, I'm sorry, Mr. Whitaker, but Kelly is out of the office this week. I stiffened out of the office. You mean, on vacation. She took personal leave, the woman said carefully. I clenched my jaw. Did she say where she was going? I'm sorry, I really can't disclose that, she said, suddenly sounding nervous. I thanked her and hung up. I already knew she was with him. I forced myself to wait 48 hours, maybe. Just maybe she'd come to her senses. Maybe she'd call, maybe she'd realize what she was throwing away. She didn't. Bye. Thursday morning, I knew I couldn't wait any longer. I needed to protect myself, my sons, and whatever dignity I had left. I called my uncle, who was a retired attorney, and asked if he knew any good divorce lawyers. He gave me a name. She's damn good. He assured me, if Kelly tries to screw you over, she won't let it happen that afternoon. I walked into the office of a woman named Diane Marks. She was older, in her late 60s, with sharp eyes and a no-nonsense demeanor, the kind of person who had seen it all. She gestured for me to sit. Tell me everything, she said, folding her hands on her desk. I told her everything when I finished. She leaned back in her chair and sighed. She's in the fog, she said. Matter-of-factly? I frowned. The fog. She nodded. I've seen this too many times to count cheaters go through a phase where they so consumed by the excitement of the affair that they rewrite history. They convince themselves that they've been unhappy for years, that they deserve this, that they're following their heart. It's a fantasy, Nathan. It won't last, but by the time she wakes up, it might be too late. I ran a hand down my face, so what do? You serve her with divorce papers, she said, without hesitation. On the grounds of infidelity and abandonment. Even if you're not sure, that's what you want to do. Diane's words echoed in my mind as I left her office. This usually snaps the out of the fog. That was the hope, wasn't it, that something, anything would pull Kelly back to reality, make her see what she was throwing away, but deep down I wasn't sure I even wanted that anymore. Would I ever be able to look at her? The same way a week later I followed Diane's advice and had the divorce papers served at Kelly's office. I imagined the moment, her sitting at her desk, maybe laughing with a coworker, then suddenly confronted with the cold reality of what she had done for days. There was silence, no calls, no texts, nothing. It was as if she had disappeared completely. Even her parents and sister had no idea where she was. The boys, though they didn't know, all the details could feel the absence like a wound. Dad, have you heard from Mom? Ryan asked one evening as we sat at the dinner table, the untouched food growing cold on his plate. No, I said, keeping my voice. Even Ethan pushed his fork around. She didn't even say goodbye. His voice was quieter, like he was trying to make sense of something that shouldn't make sense. I swallowed the lump in my throat and reached over to squeeze his shoulder. I know, bud, but we're going to be okay. Days turned into a week, and just when I was starting to believe she would never reach out. My phone rang. Kelly. I stared at the screen for a long moment before answering. Hello, she let out a slow breath, as if she had been bracing herself. I got the papers. She said, "No. Greeting. No small talk, just straight to it." "Yeah," I said flatly. There was a pause before she continued, her voice softer, almost rehearsed. "I want a divorce too." It wasn't a surprise, but hearing her say it sent a fresh wave of pain through me. I said nothing without prompting. She launched into an explanation. "Nathan, I haven't felt passion in our marriage for years. I've been miserable." I clenched my jaw. Miserable. I thought back to the way she used to smile at me across the dinner table, the way she'd kiss my cheek while I was working, the way she used to laugh. She seemed happy. Was it all a lie? "I love you and I love the boys," she continued, but I felt like an outsider in my own life. I didn't answer. I didn't trust myself to. She sighed, and for the first time there was hesitation in her voice. "Nathan, it wasn't anything you did. You were a perfect husband and father. This is just something I needed. I felt empty for so long, but now I feel alive again." I gripped the phone so hard I thought it might crack alive. I wanted to scream at her, demand how she could say that, after tearing apart the family we built, but the truth was, I didn't have the energy to care anymore. She kept talking, but I had already checked out. I could predict the script, some desperate justification for what she had done, and its attempt to paint herself as the victim of her own life. I let out a slow breath. "Kelly, I don't care." She fell silent. I hung up, and that was it. The divorce process began, though. It was slow thanks to the court backlog. I kept my distance, refusing to reach out. Kelly, at first, seemed content to let things play out without contact, but as time passed, she must have realized the full weight of her choices. She started reaching out to me, to the boys, but by then, it was too late. Ryan and Ethan had made up their minds. They wanted nothing to do with her. I sat down with Ryan and Ethan one evening, knowing we needed to talk about their mother's attempts to reconnect. I had made peace with my decision, but I didn't want to influence theirs. "Listen, guys," I said, keeping my tone calm. "I know you're hurt. I know what she did was awful. But she's still your mother. If you ever want to talk to her or see her, I want you to know that's okay with me. I don't want you to feel like you have to choose between us." Ethan scoffed, folding his arms. "I don't want to see her. She didn't even care enough to say goodbye. She just left." Ryan nodded in agreement. "Yeah, Dad, she made her choice. She can stay gone." I exhaled, pressing my lips together. They were old enough to make their own decisions, and honestly, I understood. They had adored their mother, trusted her, and she had shattered that trust in the worst way. Months passed, and I buried myself in work, and being there for my boy's life settled into a new rhythm, one without Kelly, and I was okay with that. The divorce process dragged on, but eventually my lawyer called with news. "Nathan, we finally have a firm date," she told me. 60 days from now. It'll all be over." A mixture of relief and impatience filled me. I was eager to close this chapter of my life. "It's about time," I muttered. Then a week later, my father-in-law dropped a bombshell on me. "Nathan." He sighed over the phone, sounding weary. "I thought you should hear this from me before it gets back to you." "Another way." "What is it?" I asked, already bracing myself. "It's Kelly. She's 6 months pregnant." The world seemed to till. For a second, I gripped the edge of the kitchen counter. "What, it's not yours?" He quickly added, "Her affair partner is some guy from her office. He's 31. Single." His voice was filled with disappointment, disgust. "Even I don't know what the hell she's thinking. None, I can't even look at her. Sheck, not welcome in my house anymore." I swallowed hard. I should have been past the point of feeling anything for her, but this hit different. "Well," I said, finally forcing my voice to stay steady, "I guess that makes it even clearer how little she thought of our marriage." I called my lawyer and relayed. I had learned. "Does this change anything?" I asked. She sighed. "Not much, but here's what you shouldn't do. Don't report this to her employer. Yet." I frowned. Why not? It's an office affair, and if she's with someone under her, Nathan, she cut me off. We don't want to sidetrack the proceedings. If she gets fired before the divorce is finalized, a judge could decide you owe her alimony. We need her to stay employed until this is over. I nodded, even though she couldn't see me. All right, I'll wait then. 3 weeks before our hearing, Kelly reappeared. It started with my phone vibrating constantly, call after call, her name flashing on the screen like an alarm I ignored, every single one. Then came the voicemails. Her voice, frantic, pleading. Nathan, please call me back. It's urgent. Nathan, I need to talk to you. Please, Nathan. Pick up. This is important. I deleted each message without responding. Nothing she had to say could be important to me. Still, something about her desperation unsettled me. So I called my lawyer. Kelly's blowing up my phone. I told her she sounds frantic, but I'm not buying into it. Don't respond, she instructed. Immediately. Let me call her. Instead, I'll see what she wants the next morning. My lawyer called me with an update. She wants to come back home, she said. Her voice edged with disbelief. I nearly dropped my coffee. What she told me. She realized what a terrible mistake she made, and that she wants her family back. She's still living with her affair partner, but she claims she doesn't want to be with him anymore. I let out a short, bitter laugh. Unbelievable, she says. Doesn't belong there. My lawyer continued. Nathan, you don't have to respond to this, and honestly I highly recommend that you don't, but I wasn't about to let this slide with silence. No, I said firmly. I want to talk to her. I want to tell her to her face that she's out of her damn mind if she thinks she can just waltz back into my life. My lawyer hesitated. Nathan, I get it, but this is a bad idea. It'll give me great satisfaction. I assured her. After everything she put me through, she needs to hear it directly from me. She sighed. Fine, but we do it my way. You'll come to my office and we'll call her from here. I want this conversation recorded the next afternoon. I sat in my lawyer's office, the tension in my shoulders making it impossible to sit comfortably. She dialed Kelly's number, putting the call on speaker. When Kelly answered, my lawyer kept it professional. Kelly, this conversation is being recorded. Do you agree to that? A pause. Then Kelly's voice, soft, hesitant. Yes, I agree. My lawyer nodded. All right, I'll step out so you two can talk. The moment the door shut behind her, Kelly wasted no time. Oh, baby, I'm so sorry. She gushed, her voice breaking. I woke up one day and just had this, what have I done moment. I realized I've made the biggest mistake of my life. I said nothing, gripping the arms of the chair. I want to come home, she continued, her voice desperate. I want us back. Nathan, I want to stop the divorce, to be a family again. I clenched my jaw, forcing myself to stay calm. The audacity after all this time, after all the damage she had done. She thought she could just come back. She expected me to welcome her. I let the silence stretch for a few seconds before speaking, my voice as cold as steel. It's too late for that, Kelly. The damage is done. When she heard this, when she realized there was no going back, she started crying. Not just normal crying, but this odd theatrical kind of wailing. It started low and squealy, then jumped between high-pitched sobs and these moaning sounds, like she was trying to wring out as much drama as possible. It didn't move me. I just sat there listening to the performance. Then suddenly her voice shifted. Still sad, but with this weird, insecure, almost hopeful tone. I'm having a son, she said, sniffling. Nathan, I want him to be raised in a good home with a loving family. I didn't respond. You're the best father in the world. She continued, her voice trembling. And I want you to be his father. He needs a dad like you. That caught me off guard. I sat there, stunned, my mind scrambling to process what she had just said. She was asking me to father her affair partner's child, as if she hadn't burned everything to the ground already. I let a long silence stretch between us before I finally spoke. My voice was calm, Flat congratulations. I said I wish you and your unborn child. Well, there was a brief pause. Then she pressed on. Nathan, please, she begged. We can be a family again. We were always so good together, and now we'll have one extra. A bonus. My grip tightened around the armrests of my chair. If I had been in the same room as her, I wasn't sure I could have kept my composure. But I reminded myself why I wanted this conversation recorded, so there would be no misunderstandings, no manipulation. I took a deep breath and let it out slowly. I have no interest in that, Kelly, I said, keeping my voice steady. I have no interest in being a father to your child. She broke down again, sobbing even harder, her words tumbling out between ragged breaths. I just want my family back. She cried. This whole thing, this mess. It was a breakdown. Nathan, a mental breakdown. The pandemic messed me up. I wasn't thinking straight. I closed my eyes briefly, of course. Of course she was trying to blame something external, trying to rewrite history. I shook my head. Our marriage is over. Kelly, I said, my voice firm. Our family is over. No, please, she pleaded. I ignored her. I just hope the boys can find peace. I continued despite your endless barrage of insults to their memory of you as their mother. She was still sobbing, still trying to talk over me, but I'd had enough. I wasn't going to listen to any more of her desperate, self-serving nonsense. Without another word, I ended the call for a few moments. I just sat there staring at the phone. The silence was deafening after all that noise. Then I picked it back up and dialed her parents. Her father answered, his voice weary. Nathan, I just got off the phone with Kelly. I told him, rubbing my temple. You're not going to believe what she just pulled. I relayed the entire conversation, her begging to come back, her asking me to raise the other man's child, her blaming the pandemic for everything. There was a long silence on the other end. Then finally, her father sighed heavily. Jesus Christ, she actually believes she can just undo all of this, I said, my frustration creeping into my voice. She called her sister last night. He murmured almost to himself, said she had a change of heart about everything, that she was very remorseful in the days that followed our conversation. Kelly continued to bombard me with texts, pleading with me to reconsider the messages. Started with apologies, the same tired ones she had already given, then shifted to promises that she had changed, that she had seen the light, that she would spend the rest of her life making it up to me when I didn't respond. Her tone shifted again, becoming desperate. Nathan, please. She wrote, you don't understand. I need my family back. I don't belong anywhere else. I belong with you. And the boys belong, that word made my stomach turn. She belonged with us when she was sneaking around behind my back, when she was lying, when she was making a fool out of me. And now that her fantasy had crumbled, she wanted to step right back into the life she burned to the ground. I never responded. I never wavered. The divorce went through, and I walked away with more than I expected, both financially and emotionally. Splitting assets was surprisingly easy, and I even ended up with a little more than my fair share. No alimony, no child support, just a clean break. I bought out her half of the house, ensuring my sons wouldn't have to be uprooted from their home. That was all I cared about. A few months later, Kelly had her son. Shortly after that, she and her lover split up. I didn't care, but my sons did. It started with a hesitant conversation, one of them mentioning that they had been talking to their mom. I could see the uncertainty in their eyes, the hesitation, as if they were waiting for me to be angry, but I wasn't. You should see her, I told them. If you want answers, go ask her yourself. They exchanged a glance. You really don't mind? One of them asked. No, I said. Honestly, check. Still your mother. I want you to have a good relationship with her if that's what you want. It's your decision. What about the baby? I took a deep breath. That's up to you, too. I said, "He didn't ask for any of this. If you want to meet your little brother, don't feel bad about it. He's an innocent party in all of this craziness." I could see the weight lift off their shoulders at my words. They didn't need to carry my pain. 2 years passed, and I built a life that I genuinely loved. I embraced the life of a single father, and I was happy, peaceful. No one to lie to me, no one to betray me, just me and my boys dating. Not a priority. I had plenty of opportunities, but nothing serious. I didn't want serious. I liked my life exactly as it was, and I wanted to enjoy myself for a while longer. Women came and went, but one thing became clear to me. I knew my worth now. I was more experienced, more self-assured, and something strange started happening. The women were the ones chasing me at my age. It seemed like the tables had turned. I wasn't the one hunting anymore, they were. And there was another unexpected perk, being the betrayed spouse. Mature women saw it in me. They saw the way I carried myself, the way I handled my responsibilities, the way I refused to let betrayal define me. And for whatever reason, they seemed to find that attractive. It was like I was radiating loyalty. At first, I thought talking about my ex-wife and her betrayal would be a heavy burden on new dates, something awkward to bring up, but I quickly realized it was the opposite. Women seemed to appreciate my honesty, and in some cases it even worked in my favor. It was like a badge of experience, proof that I had been through something and come out the other side stronger. Of course, my ex Kelly had mistaken my dating life as an opportunity for us to get back together. Right after she split from her lover, she sent me a text. "I just wanted to let you know that we broke up. I know it may not mean much to you, but I thought you should hear it from me." We actually hadn't been together for a couple of months. I stared at my phone for a moment, feeling absolutely nothing. If she thought this was some kind of olive branch, she was dead wrong. I had no interest in whatever drama had unfolded between her and her ex-lover. I considered texting her back something formal and cold. Maybe I don't care, or not my problem, but I decided against it. Silence was the best respire, so I didn't reply. The next time I saw her was at our oldest son's graduation. I had thrown him a nice party at the house, inviting both families and our close friends. It was a proud moment for me, seeing my son step into the next phase of his life, and I wanted to celebrate him properly. Kelly showed up with her son, and I greeted them warmly at the door, because I'm not the kind of man who would ever be cold to a child, no matter whose he was. But beyond that, I kept my distance. I avoided her for most of the event, making sure to stay busy with guests, conversations, and keeping the party running smoothly. But as the evening wore on and the crowd started thinning out, I noticed she was still hanging back, lingering, as if she was waiting for the right moment. I sighed internally. I really didn't want to deal with this. I found her sister and asked her to encourage Kelly to leave with their family. She nodded and went over to speak with her. Kelly got up as if she were going to leave, but then she turned to me and spoke in a soft, almost hesitant voice. "Nathan, can I have a moment with you before I go? There were still people around," and the way she said it so deliberately, so publicly, made it impossible to decline without causing a scene. So with reluctance, I nodded. Fine Leighton talk over by the fire pit. I led her to the corner of the yard where the glow of the fire cast flickering shadows. She wrapped her arms around herself, looking almost nervous. "I just wanted to thank you," she said, "for hosting such a great party for our son. It really meant a lot to him and to me." I nodded, keeping my expression neutral. "Of course, he deserves it." She took a deep breath, her eyes glistening as she looked at me. "Nathan, I just want to say again how sorry I am for everything. I live with that regret every day. I still miss you every day, and I love you with all my heart." I let out a slow breath, choosing my words carefully. "Your apology is appreciated, Kelly, but it's not necessary. I've moved past all of that. I'm very happy with my life." Now her face fell slightly, but she quickly recovered. "Are you seeing anyone?" I shook my head. "No, I'm not." Her eyes lit up with something I couldn't quite place: hope. maybe desperation. "So you're single?" she said, as if that changed something. "I am," I confirmed, "but not for the reason you're hoping I met." Her gaze, making sure she understood my focus right now, is taking care of my sons and myself. "I have no interest in dating seriously right now." Her face twisted with emotion, and for a moment she didn't say anything. Then, in a voice barely above a whisper, she said, "I'm miserable, Nathan." I remained silent, letting her continue. She swallowed hard, her hands trembling slightly. "I need you, and my son needs you. I want to come back home." I stiffened. Here it was. "I'll do anything you want," she continued, her voice breaking. "I swear I'll make you the happiest man in the world. If you just give me another chance, please, Nathan." She started crying, then burying her face in her hands. Her shoulders shook, and I could hear the muffled sound of her sobs. After a moment, she looked up at me again, her face streaked with tears. "My son, Chike, a great kid," she whispered, "and if you just spent time with him, I know you'd grow to love him." I took a deep breath, letting her words settle in the space between us. She was still crying, her hands trembling as she wiped at her face. I could feel the weight of her plea hanging in the air, but I refused to let it affect me. I had come too far, healed too much to be dragged back into her mess. After a long moment of silence, I finally spoke. My voice was calm, steady. "Kelly, I wish you and your son all the best. Truly I do. But I won't be part of your lives in any meaningful way." She flinched as if I had physically struck her, but I didn't waver. "I'm happy with my life. Now," I continued, "I'm looking forward to my future, whatever that might be. But I can tell you one thing for certain, those plans don't include you." Her lip quivered. "Nathan, please." I shook my head. "No, Kelly. I've made my peace with what happened. I've moved on. You should too." Her breath hitched, and for a second I thought she might break down completely. But instead, she swallowed hard and wiped her face again. She hesitated, searching for the right words. "I just feel terrible that my son is going to grow up without a good father. He needs a father figure in his life, someone like you are to our sons." I stared at her, my patience thinning. Was she really trying to use her son as some kind of emotional bargaining tool, as if I was supposed to feel guilty for her choices? I didn't respond right away, but my expression must have said enough because she quickly pressed on. "I mean, just think about it," she said, forcing a weak smile. "We'd be an amazing family, all boys, a strong father leading them, guiding them. It's like it was meant to be." I exhaled slowly, feeling my jaw tighten. The way she kept solely trying to push this bonus child idea on me made my stomach turn. It felt manipulative, desperate, and honestly disgusting. I looked her in the eyes. "Kelly, you brought him in this world. He is your problem to solve. Don't drag me or my boys in this mess if I have to get a fresh start. Why in the hell will I even think about you? I mean, look at you. You are fat, you are old, and I know that you cannot be trusted. 3 strikes, you are out." Her shoulders slumped, and I could see the last bit of hope drain from her expression. After a brief silence, I stood up. I didn't want to drag this out any longer. It had been a tough conversation, but it was necessary. Before she could say anything else, I stepped forward and wrapped my arms around her, a real hug. Not out of love, not out of sympathy, but out of closure. Then I pulled back, met her eyes one last time, and walked her back toward the party. The moment she left, I felt a weight lift off my chest. It was as if I had finally closed the last remaining door to my past. The years I had spent with her had given me some great memories, but that didn't erase what she had done. And the year after she left, that had been the worst year of my life. I would never put myself through that again. Dear listeners, please share your thoughts in the comments section below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.